Your
for
voice
Windows
is
10.
very choppy, Zoe, so I can't understand a word you said.
Is it better?
Much better.
So, I ran Windows Update last night, right?
Okay.
So it took hours, like
Yeah, same.
hours to complete the update. Like there's so much downloading going on. It took like 2, 3 hours or something, maybe more, while I
Okay.
was working. So, yeah,
Yeah, and because it
was
slows down, it takes up a lot of resources from our
yeah.
own computer, and then the fact that you're going through my internet, your home internet, to your virtual machine. So it is what it is when it comes to these things.
Mhm.
How about you,
Yeah, but I'm
Darshan?
all ready.
What were you
Yeah,
saying?
I thought I was messing up because it was like maybe at one point it was like 30 minutes and it was just still at 0%. Then it started
Yeah.
finally ticking away.
You will notice that in the server side, even on the Windows side, that once you're going to be doing updates, um, sometimes it is going to be stuck. And sometimes for me, it was stuck at like 30% so many times, and I was just trying to see if I'm doing something wrong. But no, because sometimes it's just downloading a very big package. And some packages are sometimes a few gigs itself, like if it's a special big service pack or whatnot, and then it's just gonna pick up speed. And same thing happened with me last night. I was stuck at 50% for I think hour and a half, and then afterwards it went. And honestly, 12:30 at night, I wasn't really planning to do a second pass, which it is a good business practice that once you've done the first pass, you always do a second pass to check Windows updates, because sometimes Windows updates have other updates
Yeah.
which needs to be downloaded. So you want to be careful with that. So last week we just did something simple. We built one 2016 server and one 2010 server. So now the goal is to get into actually building the Active Directory. So
Um,
before we begin, what is both of your understanding of Active Directory? Why don't both of you guys tell me that, please?
Uh, first, okay, so can you guys hear me clearly?
Not right now. Can't hear you clearly.
Is it better?
It's better.
Okay, so Active Directory is basically one, I would say, platform where you manage your whole server from. Like you manage the domains, users, then you manage the group policy.
you're cutting in and out.
Yeah, you're in and out, bro. Now you're just out. I can't hear anything.
But yeah, I think so. For me, Active Directory is like a way to simplify. Like he was saying, how to manage, all your users, the group policy, what services to give them for authentication purposes. Um, it's just a way to make things simple, make it, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I don't have like a deep understanding on it.
Okay.
Just
And that's fair. These are reasonable, what do you call, explanations. And the objective is to go deeper on them, right? Um,
yeah,
and okay, so he got disconnected, so he just WhatsApped me to wait. Like, okay.
yep.
So give him a minute to join, and then we can get rolling from there.
Hey guys, sorry. I think I've started my. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. So I actually started my uh, machines, my VMs. So I think something went wrong, and I got disconnected while I was talking.
Um,
So I called you guys from the phone. So
okay,
now it's better.
it's definitely much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
S-
yeah, go on.
So did you guys where did you guys miss like where did you
No,
guys miss
we
it?
just
Like
didn't hear your explanation of Active Directory. I think you kind of started off that it does group policy and everything else, and
yeah, so
Sean added up on it. So
I started with it's like a platform where you can manage the users, manage the server, domains, domain controller. Like you can set up the replication. Like it's sort of like a platform where where you can control the whole server from.
okay, yeah, no, you're right. Um, so Active Directory itself, you guys can see my screen. Mm. It's basically all you guys have said. It's true. It's a way to logically organize an organization. So one thing, Zohaib, I would tweak on your definition is when you said it's a platform. Do not use the word platform when you guys are going for an interview. Because to me, a platform is AWS is a platform, Azure is a platform. Active Directory is a role or a feature. So if
Okay,
you say a
roll. Okay.
platform on the interview, someone might take your understanding in a completely different way. So just be careful with that. It's just a side note, FYI kind of thing, right? So what Active Directory does is it stores users' profiles, their information, group policies, like you guys mentioned, into logical units, and you can enable, disable permissions per user. If someone is moving from one department to another, how those are going to apply to them. It needs to communicate with other servers, other computers, and each computer needs to log into Active Directory to authenticate. And this is a centralized way of you managing a small, medium, or large environment. Windows, you can create local work groups. I've seen some organizations do that when they were under like 5 staff or whatever. But anytime someone got locked out of computer, they literally have to go and work on that desktop to reset the password. If they didn't remember, then they have to boot screen. Here you go, and we'll do these exercises. Right click, Active Directory, boom, you're done, you're good to go. And Sean, kind of using you as an example, like you're working in DC, but I'm sure you're not just managing one site or communicating with one building. Um, you might be communicating with 4 different buildings or whatnot. They might have computers, they get locked out, or you're ordering something. You might be touching already in Active Directory some basic features and functionalities. So a lot of our assets can be managed through Active Directory, such as printers. The network printers can go through Active Directory. You create a print server and you assign it so the workload is balanced. The new computers which are being provisioned in the domain are going to be linked to Active Directory. New users who are being hired, new offices which are being created if a business is expanding, or let's say your business bought a different company. Now, how do both of those databases talk to each other that both employees can speak with each other? That comes down later down the road. It's called ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services, but that's all within the realms of Active Directory. Now, one question is sometimes people ask, is there a substitute to Active Directory? Yes, there are. There is Linux-based version and there's a couple of other ones, but no one really uses that, or I've personally never come across anyone using that. And the reason for that is, in case they break down, who's going to support it? With Linux, it's a community-based support unless you have Red Hat or whatnot. So that's why Active Directory, Windows Active Directory, is the only option which people opt in for. Now we're seeing a little bit influence of Azure and AWS with the single sign-on or directly authenticating through the cloud. But in my mind, for it to be fully catching on and making a serverless environment, you're looking at 10-15 years, and even at that, it's not going to be 100% of serverless environment. So far so good. Any questions?
Nope.
No questions for me.
Okay. So I hope this kind of clears up the concept. And now let's fire up our 2016 server, because this steps I want to do it with you guys. So I have the steps on the slides here as well. Because first thing we need to do is what we're gonna do. Let's just run through the steps and then let's do it together. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a forest. So Active Directory is a role and feature, as I was telling Zohaib earlier, but everything is in a forest. Within a forest, there are domains, there are subdomains. So picture, let me see, there was a doodle thing. Oh. Sorry, now my computer is going to start working a little bit slow because I'm also running all the resources. Let me just see if I can close down something. Log in. Okay, let me just log in quickly. And there is two more files in the folder. It's called create lab user.ps1 and lab users1.csv. If you guys can download that file from the same ISO folder, that'll speed up our class. They're very small files, not even a meg each.
Okay. Just restarting my computer. It got hanged. Yeah.
So the concept of a forest is, it's literally what it is. If you picture a tree in a forest, is just a tree, but a forest is composed of many different trees, and that's what Active Directory represents. So over here, if you look at it, let me go back to the previous image. So these all here, right here, it says domain forest. So these are here represents the entire forest. Now we've divided that in blue.com, red.com, and so blue.com is your one domain, and then red.com is your separate domain. Now within blue.com and red.com you have two subdomains: sales.blue.com, pr.blue.com, accountsred.com, engineeringred.com. So what this does is it tells the server and department who it needs to connect to, and fast replication, and also figure out where you're going to have a problem and maybe troubleshoot it. because you don't want it to run all the way up to your tree or the forest, sorry. So you need to figure that out always. So does that make sense? Like between tree and forest, because this is just all logical, but I want to make sure you guys understand it.
Yeah, I believe I get the gist of what you're saying.
Okay, so where are you not clear on the concept?
Well, okay, I won't say I'm not clear. I feel like I get what you're saying.
Okay. No, because if you guys aren't not, honestly, I think it's just gonna be two of us. So we have more time
Yeah,
and
but
we
it's
can
like,
answer more questions. So let's make the most of it, right? So just chime in and then ask what you need to
Yep.
ask. So Zoe, you're clear too?
I'm kind of confused with the diagram.
Okay, no, that's fine. Let me hold on.
Oh, never mind. No. It's don't you think that the both are the same?
Well, it might be small here, but
Both the diagrams are the same, right?
Both diagrams are same, but
Yeah.
they have different text on it. So let me make it bigger.
So what's the purpose of those circles within the diagram?
Hold on, let me see.
Like within those triangles, what are those circles?
Circles, they're just like logical placement.
Like
So
the
there's
PR dot blue.
so one could be, and it's a good question. So this is that. This could be your primary domain. This could be your secondary domain controller where it's replicating the information from. So the same thing
Okay.
here. And that's all it is. It could be the primary and secondary domains, which we can cover afterwards. But that's what it is. But ultimately, between forest and that would be the biggest difference.
Because your screen shows loading.
Yeah, give me one sec. Trying to kill some more programs in the background as well, just so I can free up some RAM. Sorry guys, I clicked on the full screen, but I wanted to get out of it now. Okay, let's get on with it. You guys are logged into your server? Windows Server Max?
Yes.
Just loading right now.
Okay. And your tools are installed, your Windows updates are completed, I would imagine so.
So I'm just opening the VMware because everything is just too slow right now.
It's same.
But
So
because I started both the systems, like both the VMs together, and just like crashed.
that's fine.
So
And trust me, I'm dealing with
plus
the
I
same
have like
problem.
2 million tabs.
No, and I've closed
Plus
a
I
lot
have
of
like
these
2
because
million
Chrome
tabs open.
takes up a lot, and there's a an extension on Chrome if you download have it. It's called the Great Suspender, and there's just an FYI. So if you have that, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it goes and freezes up those tabs. So what it does is the problem with Chrome is it keeps all the tabs running, so they suck up a lot of tabs. With the Great Suspender, it goes and freezes those tabs and it frees up your RAM. So that's the only way I can work with Chrome. Otherwise, I'm honestly now considering going back to Firefox. But it just has so many.
Yeah, I have like 15, like I have like three or four windows open, 15 tabs each. So
Still not bad.
I'm kind of like push pushing it too much.
Yeah,
Being an old laptop, it's doing great, but
no, I get it.
it's
Okay.
still like have a lot of stuff. Okay, I have to.
Yeah, super fine. So I'm gonna turn off my Windows 10 for now, just to free up some space, some RAM. And if you guys want, yeah, you can do that too. You can just turn it off. That'll free about like a couple of gigs or 2-3 gigs, whatever I had assigned for it, and I can just move faster over here. Okay, fine. So now we're good. How about you, Sean?
Both of mine are up, but for some reason, for the Windows 10, I can't actually click anything. Like I can like highlight over it, but if I select anything, it's not actually
Yeah, just turn
bringing
off
anything.
Windows 10 for now. So just go right click here and
Okay.
then just power off. That's what I did, and that's when I kind of started seeing my screen moving a little bit.
Well, this Windows Server is okay.
Okay. Well, Windows 10 I wouldn't worry about. Even if you want to power it off, because I want to do this first
Okay,
to get you
perfect.
guys to join, and then we would have to power it on, but we'll worry about it at that point in time.
Okay.
So this is Windows 2016 server, and they've actually done a decent job organizing it. But before we do, let me just show you the concept of Forest a little bit more. So this is basically, don't mind my writing, this is your one AD server, right? And then afterwards you have a smaller AD server right here, and then you have another location where you have a primary domain controller, and
Whereas we can't see
Yeah, about
we
to say,
can't
are we
see that
supposed to?
screen.
Yeah, I
We
just
just see the Active Directory written of your presentation. That's it.
oh, okay, hold on, let me check what's happening here with me, sorry.
I think you have to move the tab.
Oh, you don't see anything. I thought I was sharing the screen. Interesting. Give me one sec, guys. Let me unpresent and present it again. Now, do you see my Windows Server screen?
yes.
Okay, cool. So, one thing I was kind of showing you guys prior to that was, ugly drawing, that this is an Active Directory server, this is an Active Directory, and this is again more Active Directory servers. So these could be a separate domain, and this is a whole separate domain with this smaller subdomain right here. But all of this is a forest, and now we
Okay.
have logically distributed. This could be even within the same building, two separate domains, or it could be two separate locations. And then within these, then you have multiple desktops, laptops, and hardware, inventory, printers, everything else is recording. And based on location or priority, each computer may report to a different Active Directory server to authenticate, to log on or whatnot. Two reasons for that. One is to distribute the workload, and also just to make sure it's faster. So let's say if I'm in Manassas and you're working in DC, it doesn't make sense from DC every day you're logging into Manassas. It's gonna, and every time you have to send a query, it's gonna take a lot longer time. So you log into your DC server, I log into my Manassas server, but between these two, they keep replicating the information. So in case you call me up, Faraz, I'm locked out, I go to my server and I unlock you, and then this tells me, okay, in a couple of minutes you will be unlocked. Or sometimes it's instantaneous, right? Depending on the internet connection, the pipe they have. So that's the simplest thing. Are you guys good with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So now the local server is actually pretty civilized now. I've worked with Windows 2003, 2008, 2012, 2016. And as a kid in high school, I used to play around with Windows NT at home. So I've seen a lot of different flavors. And now it's 2019 in Azure. So having said that, now having all the information here makes our lives a lot easier. It tells me my computer name, which we're going to change, our work group, whether firewall is on, remote management is on, desktop is on, remote desktop, NIC teaming, whether it should be on or off. In some places it's on, some places it's off. What NIC teaming is, while we're at this topic, it's basically each server at the back have either minimum 2 Ethernet cards, or otherwise about 4 to 6 Ethernet cards and an ILO. Do you guys know what an ILO is? Sean?
Yep. I'm aware of that.
Sorry, Sean? Do you know or no?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So, and it's good that you don't know. Keep just asking the questions. So what an ILO is, it honestly looks like an Ethernet card at the back, but it's not part of the motherboard. So Dell calls it DRAC. It's called Dell Remote Access Card, and HP, IBM, they call it ILO. So if you're sitting, I'll type it here. If you're sitting, let's say in Manassas, and your server goes down, you're not, some instances you will, but you're not necessarily going to go to drive all the way to DC and fire up the server. First, you're going to lose, you're going to be down for about an hour, which is not really a possibility. So what it is it gives you the remote access. It's kind of like a screen capture / a mini computer within your server. So you can see everything which you won't be able to see in a regular RDP session. When you can go into the BIOS, you can boot up the screen, you can assign IPs, networking layer, and you can implement commands on the computer if it's needed. That's what an ILO does. So you will have that. Now coming back to NIC teaming, what it is it will give me the ability to assign 2 NIC cards in a group. They both will have their separate IP addresses, but what it'll do is it'll save, and they will be connected to 2 separate switches, but it'll save up a lot of load balancing. So the server itself can intelligently use both network cards, and then decide which one the traffic should go from. Having said that, now we should really get started. So far so good. Just the main screen we're talking about right now. Now we need to start assigning IPs.
Yeah, I'm good. So go on. Yeah.
Okay. So let me. So for the server 1, let's, and this is just the IPs I came up with. If you guys are using a different subnet or whatnot, feel free to do so. I would actually, one mistake, I would not use this as a 1. I would use maybe 5. So we'll go in 5 increment. Let's assign some IP to our servers. Just our server. So right now, because I have NIC teaming disabled, you can see I'm only using Ethernet 0, otherwise you'll see 2 cards, and I didn't give 2 cards on virtual computer anyways because we didn't really need it for this exercise. Yeah, so make that one, the last one, 0.
So for us, preferred DNS is the IP of the server, like the IP address which we are giving, right?
Yeah, because we're going to enable
But
DNS and
this,
everything down the road. Sorry.
and what about the alternate DNS?
So right now I put the alternate DNS as 127.0.0.1. What that is a local loopback address. So
Okay.
I could have left it blank, but I kind of left it this intentionally so you guys understand that sometimes you will do that as a practice. So this address, when the computer sees it, 127.0.0, it reports back to the primary DNS server. Always. So either I leave it blank and it just keeps coming back, or you can do 127.0.0.1.
And the preferred DNS is usually the IP address of the server, not the default gateway, right?
No, it wouldn't be the gateway. It would be the default IP of the server or the DNS server. So Windows is capable of creating its own DNS server, DHCP and everything, but other businesses or bigger organizations, you might find a DNS server to be completely different just because they want to take some of the workload and also the risk away from Windows server. Because if Windows Server goes down, that means your Active Directory is down, your DNS is down, your DHCP is down, and everything is down. So just to mitigate the risk and not put all your eggs in one basket, DNS usually is managed by another third-party entity. Sometimes it could be Dynamic DNS or a few others. Even Microsoft have different services. There's another one, DNS Zone. So there's a few.
Okay, Faraz, when I'm trying to save these changes, so my IP address is 192.168.200.1. So that's my default gateway. I'm getting an error that the default gateway is not on the same network segment, subnet, that is defined by the IP address, and subnet masks. Do you want to save the configuration?
So what is your IP address? Like,
So my IP address is 192.168.200.10.
what is your IP address at home?
I don't know actually. Oh, it
So
might
just
be.
open the command prompt and then check, because actually that's a good question. I didn't check that either.
So I'm connected with Ethernet right now. My IP at home is 192.168.1.110.
1.110.
Yeah,
Windows
but
can send.
this server IP shouldn't be saying that because I already have two network cards. One is for the server, the one like the server, like the internal IP address thingy, and another one is on NAT, which helps me access the internet.
Hmm.
Remember, we worked on it before, like the one we worked on with the for Azure, right? I'm using the same one, the same server, but I'm just trying to change the IP address. If I won't change the IP address,
You
um,
can keep the same IP if it's working for you, but conceptually you get the idea, though, right? What we're.
because the gateway I have, it's empty. Default gateway is empty for some reason,
Are
but it's
you?
working.
If you leave the gateway empty, then it's working.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because for the server will be the gateway for Windows 10.
Yes.
So for the server, we don't have to put the default gateway, and it's working.
Ideally, you have to. I've never seen a server where you're not putting the default gateway, to be honest.
Okay.
Let me just see. The feature, don't show this. Continuing. How about you, Sean? How are you doing?
Because I mentioned the preferred DNS and alternate DNS,
Mm-hmm.
like both. I mentioned the IP addresses for both.
Yeah.
So 192.168.200.1 is the preferred DNS, which is the IP address. The alternate DNS 192.168.200.10. Like, so I gave it an alternate DNS address. Do I have to, or I can just leave it blank like 8.8.8? We use that as well, right?
Yeah, that one is just getting routed to Google 8.8.8, and that's fine if
Yeah.
that's working for you. Some places I actually had to do that um, to give them a better internet access or connectivity.
But it's a safe practice, or it's not.
Generally, it's not. What they will do is they would have their own internal DNS. Because you're
Okay.
on the server, and in order to access the internet, they might actually have a proxy server running so you can access it.
Mm,
It might even be that with some businesses. I've seen that as well in one of my previous jobs. So they had, in order to access the internet, we would go and we would add the proxy setting, and then we would go and we would remove it.
right. Because I gave the one. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
I'm just. How are you doing, Sean?
Sorry about that. I had to step away and
It's
grab
okay.
my other mic that way I can. Because I was just recording. Last time I think my recording was getting messed up because I kept switching back and forth. So I'm going to have my other monitor that way I can follow along and see what you do at the same time.
Okay, I'm recording it too, so I'll do the same thing. I'll upload this on YouTube as well. So, were you guys? Did you guys manage to give IP addresses? I know Zohaib was struggling a little bit, so I just want to make sure. Are you okay?
Yeah, yeah. I'm okay.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm okay for now as well.
Okay. So, okay, so now in order to create Active Directory, let's go manage tools. So it's a feature which we're going to add. When you install Windows Server, it's not there by default. And it's one of those things you have to go in and you have to add. We go to tools. Once it populates, sorry, I think it's managed. Yeah, so you can add roles and features, remove roles and features, or you can add additional server which is going to communicate with each other. So for now, under manage, you go add roles and features. Are you guys good? I usually put this page skip by default because there's not really much value to it. It's just some basic information which it's telling me. So I usually just skip this page by default. Now it's going to ask me what is this kind of installation, whether it's a role-based installation or a server-based installation. Or actually, you know what? I'm sorry. We have to do something first. We need to name this computer first. My mistake. And this will require a reboot for everyone. So I'm going to name it Faraz Lab Teachers Tech. And right now it's not part of a domain. It's going to join after. Actually, Faraz Lab, Faraz Server. And yeah, we need to restart. Close, restart now. Kate just replied. I just saw her message now. Did everyone's computer restart? Or the server?
Yeah, it was already.
Oh, okay. No, I'm having some IP issues. Looks like it. just give me an IP from DHCP for now. I'll probably just keep up with that, just to keep things simple for myself. So it just gave me IP from DHCP for that, which is fine. I'll just keep up with that for now, just to keep things simple for myself and for the sake of time. And I'll just assign it that. That's what I was expected to see. No internet. Okay.
Yeah, Faraz, this one will be with no internet, and you have to change it from the settings, from the server settings. You have to change it, remove it from NAT and put it on VMNet.
No, I had it
And then,
on the
you have
settings.
it?
Yeah, so that's what I did before. Unless the settings didn't get saved. Oh, it is on that. Yeah.
No, it's on NAT. So you have to change this one on VMNet. Anything above 6. Oh. And then now you have to add another NIC for internet.
No, it shouldn't be that way.
That's what we did.
Hold on. Not connected. No, we don't have to have it that way, because NAT is the one which the way it would work. Let me try 0 and try to see. No network access, even in IP4. How about you, Sean? Is it working for you? Let me just remove the DNS for now, actually. I need to assign it a DNS. While I look through that, let's just build the forest and I'll keep troubleshooting this. So add roles and features, go there. Now this is, you just have to select from a server pool, which we have only one, so we just go by that. And then what we want to add is Active Directory domain and services. It's going to give you a lot of other roles and features that it would ask you to add, and you just add those in. And those are kind of like mandatory features you need to add. Down the road, we do want to add what do you call DNS and DHCP, so you might as well do it from right now. And again, role-based administration. And then on the next screen, it is going to ask you to have the .NET framework installed, so you do need that. And then group policy IO management, because that's a feature for Active Directory, so you want to make sure you have that. Rest is pretty much standard, which comes with Active Directory, but anything you want to pick and choose and how to make your server, you guys are going to find all within roles and features. And now Active Directory is a separate online service. Is asking us to connect to Azure. We're not going to do that because obviously we don't need to for this. And after the installation is done, then we would have to restart the computer again. And once it's restarted, then we would have to promote the server to a domain controller. At that point, we're gonna go through that practice where I was talking about creating a forest and a tree. While it's doing that, guys, I'll be back in just like 5 minutes, okay? I'll leave this running. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Is it completed for everyone else?
I'm good.
Okay. Now we can complete the. Sure. I just probably remove my IP again. DHCP is not enabled. So we can complete it just from here as a domain controller, or we ideally you need to reboot it, and you can just set up the DHCP server from here as well. So best business practice is to reboot it, post deployment, and but if you guys want, because of the it takes time to what do you call reboot, and we keep losing time, we can just promote it from here right now. So make sure you guys are following along with this step. So it is a new forest, it's not joining a domain controller, so it always has to be a new forest if we're working in a new environment. So you can make it for us lab dot local, it could be dot internal, so there's few commands you can have, but generally local is used quite often. You can make it internal as well if you choose to. Any questions about this, or are you guys okay?
Um, for us, this can be like this root domain name can be anything, right?
It can be anything, yeah. And then the next domain we're going to make, because we're already going to have a forest, you're going to say add to a new domain to an existing forest. But
Okay,
because
and for
we,
us,
yes,
I have one more question. Sorry. So when we're adding the domain name, it has to be dot local or it will automatically change.
no, you would have to add it as
Mention
dot local. You have to tell it
dot
what kind
local.
of, it could be dot local, it could be dot internal. There's a few commands which you can use. I'm just keeping it dot local and keeping it simple. Are you guys in this screen? So now you will see, select the functional level of new forest and root domain. And you're going to notice it's all the way from Windows 2008 to 2016. The reason behind it is if your primary domain controller is older, let's say you're still in Windows 2008, so it needs to go backwards and then kind of like backward compatibility and talk to the other domain. There might be other domains, but for this exercise, because we're only 2016, we can keep 2016, but always keep in mind what other domain controllers you have. So if you are running the oldest domain controllers, the 2008, because 2003s are obsolete now, you would have to select that forest functional level is Windows 2008 or 2008 R2 or 2012, and then you would go and select. You can even do it in this if you want to, but you're not really going to notice any difference or benefit to it. And for here, you would have to have your password set up. This is a password which even domain administrators never really use, because that's in case your Active Directory crashes or anything happens. That's when you would have to use it. But a lot of times, just to save time, so what people would end up doing is they would end up building a new Active Directory server just because it's faster. So I've never had to go this route, but I had to build Active Directory in the past as well. So specify, I don't think a delegation or deal cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found. I'm expecting that. Because the parent zone, it does not run Windows DNS server. If you are integrating DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a DNS server in the parent zone. Ensure reliable resolution outside. Otherwise, no action is required, which we will. We have to create a DNS zone down the road. It's just doing its thing right now. So it just verified that this is the domain name for NetBIOS. Yes, I mean next. The next screen is a little important. So you want to know where all your information is stored. Your database is stored under the NTDS question, your log files, and sysvol. Sysvol is where all your other information is stored, and these three are sometimes for Active Directory interview questions as well. People will ask, where's your database stored? Where's your log file? Where's your sysvol stored? So knowing these paths, if you're going for an infrastructure or Active Directory role, would help you guys out. And then we hit next. Now we review everything. Faraz lab.local, NetBIOS Faraz lab, Forest functional 2016, DNS yes, and TDS folder yes. Next. Now we will reboot. Once it installs all the roles. So with these errors, we still have to say install, because right now, let's go through these errors first. Windows 2016 domain controller have default network security name, allow cryptography, algorithms compatible with NT4, prevents weaker. So yeah, my password is a little bit weak, so this is fine, I accept that. Computer has at least one network physical adapter and does not have a static IP. Yeah, my static IP, I need to come back and troubleshoot it again. DNS delegation server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found, or it does not run Windows DNS server. Yeah, so we haven't initiated DNS server yet. So before we bring in Windows 2010 into this domain, that's something we have to enable. So knowing all these things, we are going to install. And ideally after this you might have to run Windows Update again, because now with all this it's gonna open up new security holes, and of course with that security patches. some work environments, in order to save time, um, you would also notice two other ways how an installation is taking place. At one of my previous jobs, what they did in order to avoid Windows updates, and we were building on average 2-3 servers a week. Um, there was one guy dedicated among his other job duties. He would just create an ISO for the server, and the yeah, I'm about to be logged off. Perfect. And the ISO for the server. So for the server, he would just do the Windows update on it, and that would save us maybe an hour or 2 hour, and at times that it saved up. Other places sometimes now, if they have SCCM in place, they would just initiate the server build through SCCM. You would put in the commands, and then the server would go in and do the role-based installation of what you need. You just define it on SCCM what type of server you're trying to build. Is it a print server? Is it Active Directory server? Is it a backup server? What's the role of the server? And based on that, everything's given. But that process, when I was working in that, wasn't really that refined, and it took about 2-3 days to wait for the server to be completed. But there was a queue you had to wait on it to dish out all these things, and that was usually basically it brought the process up to about 10 days sometimes to build one single server. So not the most efficient thing. Is everyone's back up, or is this only mine which is spinning?
I'm all good because I'm working on 2012.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
It's all good. Give me one sec, guys. I think Kate was supposed to join, and I just got. Maybe I skipped her sending the invite, so I just sent it now.
I think everyone agreed to join around this time.
Which is fine, man. I can't force
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
I'm just letting you know. Yeah, everyone did. Yeah.
I
Okay,
just
why is
feel
it
bad
coming
for
for Lab?
because that's the local, not the local
Oh yeah, that's
administrator.
a
Faraz
server.
Lab is
Okay.
the
In computer
forest
name.
slash server, and
Mm-hmm.
then this is logging in as an administrator. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I saw your message and I had my phone turned away and I missed sending you the invite last night. But I'm recording everything and I can spend some time with you afterwards as well,
Okay.
to go over it. So what we've done is quickly, I'll share this slide with you guys as well. We're building the Windows 2016 server right now, and we're just promoting it to Active Directory role. Sean, what's your email address?
Sean, you're muted.
He's in and out. It's okay. So just to kind of give you, yeah, what's your email address, Sean? I'll just share this with you as well, the slides.
It's FLANN 2007
Oh, there you
at
are.
gmail.com.
Okay, so Kate, just kind of recap a little bit. So what we did was, do you have your Windows 2016 open? The server?
Well, you guys can go ahead. I'm catching up.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So now, guys, in terms of Windows Server, now we should be able to see a few more features over here. This tab was not there before. New administrative tools, which have been added on. So a whole slew of stuff. So Windows Directory, domain and trust, sites and services, users and computers, etc edit, all this is there. Then DHCP, DNS, that is also something which we can look at. But first thing I'm interested in is just creating some users just to test out. So hold on. This is the raw server. And then afterwards we can configure this to a new DNS server. But as I said, new users, complete DHCP registration. Okay, let's finish that first. So we'll use the same credentials, commit, so that is done, configuration completed for our server. Now what we need are some users in this, needless to say. How do you create users? That's the first question. It's if you're creating one user at a time, you go to Active Directory, users and computers. Kate, you're not going to be able to see these features because those were the roles which we've added on, and I will probably spend a little bit of time with you after and then tell you how to add those on yourself, and I'll walk you through it. But I'll give you a rundown here. So this is the server we created, frazlab.local, and these are the pre-built functions and features in there already. This is built in, this is very computer. This is one domain controller we have, policies, managed service account, user account. Now these are just the basic user groups where we can have stuff added on. It could be domain, that domain admins, domain computers, domain controllers, guests, and you can create your own. You just right click, new. It'll ask you, do you want to create a computer, contact, user. In this case right now we're just only going to click user. Computers you don't have to create. The computers, it will pick it up itself from Active Directory, generally speaking, right? So I never really had to create a computer or a server. It's supposed to find it. So first user, I'll create myself, fcon, and then again password. And now general practice is a user cannot change password. It's never really there. User must change password at the next logon. So I can create any password I want. Actually, and then the next time when I'm going to try to log in with that user, and the user is fcon, it would ask me to change my user's password to a different password. And then here, next. Now if I click on that user and I go to properties, I can assign the user a lot of functionalities. Right now they're just a local user, but now if I wish, okay, this is a new hire and he or she is a domain admin, I will add them in the administrator group. So we'll just go administrator, check name, and he or she is going to be added to the administrator group, or if I have a different group created. For now I'm not going to add this person to any group. But this is, are you guys able to create a user that way, or have you ran into any issues? Are you guys good with it? Creating the user. Now
I don't know if you guys saw my previous comment a little while ago, but I was saying that I had to, I was in and out back and forth, so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I know you're recording, and I also said that I'm also recording on my end too, so I'll put it up on YouTube and on the Telegram channel as well. After.
Okay, I just didn't want you to wait for me, because I'm nowhere near like this far for creating users and whatnot. So
No
but
problem.
I'm paying attention though,
No problem. That's fine.
because this is definitely something I was actually talking to the lady at my job on help desk who creates the users and whatnot, and I was trying to ask her, because she showed me this one day, but I start work at 12:30 and she gets off at 1:30, so a lot of times, there's no time to do that. So this is like right what I was trying to learn. So
Cool.
thank you.
So now this will be another trick in your arsenal. So the two files are shared with everyone in the morning, right? So make sure you put those on the VM, and Kate and everyone else, the file is in the same folder, the ISO folder. So one is lab user, one is a create lab user. Because the thing is, like, if you're onboarding, let's say it's a hiring season for Amazon, they're literally not going to go one user at a time, and they're gonna create 100 warehouse employees per location before Christmas and then delete them. Then the question is, how do you do it? How fast can you do it? And you assign them to the right way, the right group. So what we did right now was just creating users through GUI. We went start, administrative, Active Directory, and then we changed the first name, last name. We gave them a password. So the next time they're gonna log on, they're gonna have, they will change their password, and ideally, if they're in the right group and the right profile, all their applications are already going to be installed. But before we get to the point, if we have so many users, how can we onboard them? So one is, the other option is the PowerShell. And that's the way we're going to do it right now. So you open a PowerShell, you enter these commands, add username, this. Again, a little bit of a longer process here. So what you end up doing is you create your own script. The script is not mine either, like it's someone else gave me the script, but these are fairly easy to understand, and the more understanding you guys have of PowerShell, the better system administrators you guys are going to be, because in Windows 2019 a lot of the features are little by little are being removed away from Windows Server, like a lot of the GUI, and it's getting more and more towards PowerShell, just to make them more secure and also more lightweight in order for Active Directory to work, which kind of makes sense because a lot of workload they want to push towards Azure with all the GUI and everything. So how do we create this in PowerShell? It's actually very simple. You right click, run with PowerShell. It's going to load up the script. Give it time because it's on VM. Shouldn't take that long. Give me a sec. Let me open up PowerShell this way. Okay, so here I can just load up the script for create lab users. It's under document. No, something is not right. Hold on. Sorry. No. So desktop app PowerShell is what I need. Drag and drop. Yeah, now it's asking based on that script, where are the users? So I saved them all under documents. So this is the CSV file we just selected. And now it's creating all the users for me automatically. So that's how you would onboard a lot of people. And if you look at it through the CSV file, I'll just hold off. Once it's done, that'll create the account name and everything else, and then give it a default password too. And it's gonna create maybe I think a couple of hundred users this way. You can create up to I think about 500 or 1,000 that way. So you would usually what'll happen is you'll end up getting a file from HR, and HR would pass it on to you. You would modify the file a little bit as your own CSV format or template you have set up, and then you would just create the user command and list, and off you go. You've just started a profile for a lot of different employees. So let's just take like one user. Given name Zena James, account is Zena.James, display name Zena James. This is the default password for everyone, and then account is created. And where do we go and check again? If we go here, we refresh. Should pop up. Where are the users? Which domain? Interesting. Let's find the users. Okay, so let me just check right here. Again, open it up. Give me one sec, guys. Suzanne, can you please be quiet? I'm just teaching a class. Yeah, so they are all, sorry, another folder was created, Exchange users, so they're all just right there. If you see all the people we've created, because this file is from another class as well, Office 365. So that's where they went, but for our intents and purposes, it is fine, it's good enough. So all the users here, which we just created the list, they're all right here, all under the Exchange users. Sidan, John, can you do it quietly? Okay, so there they are. Any questions? Anyone ran into any issues or challenges? So far, so good. Now, do you guys want to try creating some users on your own right now? Just like a couple of different departments you would have to create, or you want to use that kind of like as time for this basic assignment and then see what happens. How do you guys want to do it? You can create it either through the PowerShell or just through the manual, but they need to go into certain departments like John Smith, accounting, Carla, HR, finance, accounting, marketing, and customer service. Okay, we'll move. Yeah, hello? Okay, so we'll move forward. We've gone through this part already, like how to set up a domain controller. We did that already. Active Directory setup is going to collect DNS or whatnot. All this has been done. And then you have much more of an explanation as well. Now, setting up DNS, that's something I was talking about. What is a DNS? Anyone wants to give any idea what it is, or you want to know more about it? So just kind of like it says here, the DNS is basically like the phone book of the internet. So if you type something behind any word, you're looking at google.com, Yahoo, or New York Times, CNN, you type in the word, the alphabet or the name, and then it goes in and transfers into the translates into the IP address, and it loads the resource of the page. Zidane, can you go play outside, please? Zidane, okay, but you can't make any noise. Okay.
So for us in the DNS, we can also add a different, like multiple domains, and then we can use it as the, like take an example, if my computer is on zohaib1.local,
Yes.
okay, but then I add another 2 or 3 domains like zohaib2.local, zohaib3.local in this domain, okay,
Yeah.
and the other computers I have, like I have 5 computers or domain zohaib1 as a domain, as a work group, sorry, as a domain, and local group, and the another 10 computers on zohaib 2 and another 10 on zohaib 3. So all of those computers will be able to connect with this server, right? Because those zohaib 2 and zohaib 3 will be added in the DNS. So when those those computers will try to log in, the server will automatically detect, right?
More or less, you're right. So DNS will serve as kind of like help you find those other computers. So if I'm going to the DNS server 192.168.50 is my DNS server, it's gonna go. Zohaib laptop's gonna go talk to that and like, okay, I need this information. Like, okay, let me get it for you. I can go a little bit more detail. I have it here for DNS. What are the common type of DNS records we have to look at? If you have a GoDaddy account or whatnot, it may help you guys out at this point, or it may not.
But that's for domain hosting, right?
No, you will see MX record, text record, CNAME, canonical name records in the server as well. Because domain hosting is also running with the same principle. It's not a Windows principle. It's not a domain hosting principle. It's a networking principle. The DNS, and it's to get the information passed on from one side to another. So a record, you'll find it on the server as well as the domain name, which will hold all the IP address. The CNAME, which is actually canonical name records, it forwards what do you call domain or subdomain to another domain, but it does not give you an IP address. MX Record is for email servers use, and right now when Exchange is a very important thing, and now Office 365 is taking over, MX Record is getting more and more important. First, a lot of time MX Record just would be internal with the Exchange, but now it's external as well. So in my experience, I've used all of these at one time or another, just within an infrastructure, not going out to hosting or GoDaddy or anything like that. So all of them have been used for me. But for Windows, generally, I've used MX Record, CNAME, A Record. Um, I've used them quite often.
So I remember I was working with for one of the companies, so we were retiring one domain, which was what do you call TD domain? It was, I think. It was like 20-year-old domain. So now they were moving on. They were trying to move all the computers on the new domain. So that new domain, we've added that new domain in the DNS server. So the people who have laptops with that new domain will be able to access the servers through our main server, which was the main domain, which was a 20-year-old domain. Does it work like that, or am I missing something?
Um, so yeah, you will retire the domain, but I'm pretty sure that new domain did not have the old IP address. It must have
No,
had a
it will
new
have a new IP address.
it
Yes.
must have had a new IP address and new everything, but they had to
Oh yeah,
do.
I remember we added those IP addresses in the DNS server. I think when you
Yeah.
add all the details, we added those IP addresses. So every time someone's trying to access, take an example, Docker 1. So all the users on server 1 has the access for Docker 1.
Mhm.
But now a lot of people have another domain, and for that domain there's another server, but we have added that domain in the server 1. So now the people from like the second domain can also access Docker 1 because the other domain is added into the current server.
Yeah. So no, you got the gist of it there, Zohaib. So this is how it is. They
Okay.
have to plan it out, like, and how they're gonna move it. And it honestly depends how they're changing the domain, because you're saying it's a 20-year-old server. So let's say it was Windows NT or Windows 2003. So they wouldn't even be able to
It
do.
was 2003.
Yeah. So they wouldn't even be able to move it like a direct jump to, let's say, from 2003 to 2016. It would have to
I
go
think it was
2000.
2008. I think it was 2008 or yeah. One was 2008. The new ones was 2012 or 16.
Yeah, so
Sorry, 16. The new one was 16.
if it was
The old one was
16,
2008.
then they must have done two hops. Then they must have gone from 2008 to 2012 as a transition, because the forest
Hmm.
functional level is not the same between 8 and 16. And then from
Yeah.
2012, then they went to 2016. That was the final destination, because sometimes when you go, you cannot jump up too much.
Oh no. My bad. It wasn't 16. It was 2012.
Okay, then yeah, then that was just
8 to
one
12.
jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, DNS definitely played a role on it. I know we covered DHCP last time too previously, but I know a lot of people. I'll kind of brush up on it again. What it is and why we need it. It's basically a service that provides IP address, subnet mask to all the clients. It could be your tablets, it could be your laptop, desktop, uh, anything related which is connected to the network. DHCP is a built-in server within Windows. It can be giving out DHCP to every hardware you're connecting, but not everyone uses Windows DHCP. They end up using third-party DHCP services as well. But in order to set up DHCP, which we did already, um, you just go at add roles features, DHCP server, next restart the destination server, and continue. And then you're setting up the DHCP role here, server manager. Well, that's something we haven't done, so we can do that now if you want. I don't think we did. I'll leave this instruction here, or you guys can follow me along what's easier for you guys. I think we configured DHCP as well. Oh no, we did. We're actually doing faster than anticipated. So yeah, allow, deny, we have everything set up here for DHCP as well. But I'll go over here roughly again. So from server manager, you go to the tools, DHCP, you look up the server name and which servers are there. Right now we only have one. And then you select the route if we have a router. In this case we don't. Router's IP address, and click the field. You add the former network NAT and then the DNS server and the server IP address. Then you would create a new scope for the IP, and then you type in the name. So that IP addresses for a certain region or scope are only going to get those IP addresses. And then you will set which ones you want to exclude or delay. So in terms of excluding, let's say I have network printer, domain controllers, or desktops which are never going to move. You want to have them the same IP address every time, so you just go and put them on an exclusion list. Why? Because they're going to be the same, and you don't want that IP getting assigned to anything else down the road. Lease duration is something you figure out what works best for your organization. So each IP will expire after a certain amount of time in terms of a laptop, desktop, or tablet or anything else. So every day I come in, I will keep getting same IP, which is easier for me. But let's say if I move or change, my IP should get released or expired after certain days, and that's up to you and your organization. Generally 7 days is a normal time, because it's assumed that if I'm working on site, I'll be on site 5 days, and if I'm working from home for a month and I'm coming 2-3 days in a week, then it makes sense that my IP gets given out to someone else down the road. And then setting up DHCP role, we're gonna do that a little later once we have more computers there.
So for us, DHCP comes with the Active Directory, or do we have to separately add a role for DHCP?
We have to add a role. So what we did was initially we went here, add roles and features, and we did add that as a role. So DHCP, DNS were the roles which we had added onto these servers. Just so then later on down the road it needs to start giving us IP address, and right now we only see just one server. One thing we need to change is the time. For me it's 11:03, so make sure wherever you are, change the time to the respective zone, because if your time is not properly set up, that's going to cause all kinds of problem with Windows Active Directory communicating with other Active Directory servers and your desktops and everything else. So there is a delay, usually it's about 10 minutes, but if there's the Active Directories are out of sync more than 10 minutes, then it starts throwing all kinds of error messages down the road. and generally we can set up the time from servers as well, and we'll do that afterwards. Um, how it needs to happen. Like you just don't go in every server and you're gonna set up the time this way. I'll go over that afterwards. But for now, are you guys okay? Do you have any more questions? Okay, if that's the case, what I'm gonna do for at least Zohaib or Sean, if you guys want, you can drop off. You can pick up again on Wednesday because I want to spend a little bit time with Kate and Michael or Mitchell, sorry, who just came in, and I can answer their questions where they were and get them up to speed for Wednesday.
Okay, that's cool. Okay,
Alright.
guys, thank you so much. Thank you for us.
No worries.
See you later. Bye.
Alright, take care, guys. Hi, Kate. Hi, Michael or Mitchell. Am I saying it right?
Hi, Faraz.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm trying to catch up. Looking at the
that's fine.
PPT.
Yeah, so I can help you out. If you want, you can share your screen. Hi, Michelle.
I have you. Okay. Oh, let me share my screen. I want to know, like, if I want to take this exam, there's only left less than a week.
Yeah, it's less than a week. It's gonna be a little tough. If you want to write it, you can write it, obviously. But it's up to you. Like you can write it. It's $165 to write that exam. As I was mentioning, you will still have the certification. The answers are there. You can go and you can take a shot at it. It's definitely worth it. You can pass it. If not, you at least know the format of the future exams you're gonna take. Hey, Michael.
Good morning. I joined a little late, so I've kind of just been following along.
No problem. Oh, something happened.
How do I access how do I access your presentation, your notes that you have?
Well, the presentation, give me your email address. I'll share with you. What's your email address?
Email is m followed by period m.a. Crowley CROLEY.
Here. And do you have the ISO file folder I shared with you?
I joined in late. I don't think I received any of the files. Was that something that was emailed?
Oh yeah, you must have seen a link on my drive. If not, I'll share it with you. Were you there in last class? You were, right? Or you couldn't?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you were. So yeah, maybe I shared with you. It's just the ISO files to install Windows 2016 server and the desktop.
Okay, I've actually just pulled it up.
Yeah, so you would have to download those and install those. I created a Telegram channel. If you want, I can send you the link for that as well. And if you like, you can join that because Kate and a couple other people are there too.
Yeah, I definitely love to join your channel.
Yeah, it's just easier communication that way. That's all it is, to be honest. Everyone who is attending this is pretty new. Okay. So are you in IT right now, or are you pursuing to be in IT?
I'm a third-year CS student. I also took a bunch of information technology courses, and I've worked in tech support for a bank, and now I'm just looking to
Okay.
delve fully out of finance and more straight into technology.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let me send you the Telegram channel. Because what I'll do is I'll upload it on YouTube as well. Like this, just a raw copy of these lectures, and then you guys can pick up from there too. And of course, whatever questions you have, just message me. Hey, Kate, you just got disconnected there.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm getting sick.
Okay, so what I was telling to the guys earlier before you is what is Active Directory, right? I'll give you a little bit of a preview, like you saw that, and this is, don't mind my scribble. Active Directory is basically a logical way of connecting everything in an organization. It could be your computers, servers, printers, access points, users, and organize them where they need to be. So in terms of they all need to be in a certain department, certain part, and they need to communicate with each other. So right now here is like two Active Directory structured, just blue.com and red.com. Within that you have different sub-organizations, sales, PR, .blue.com, or accounts.red.com, engineering.red.com. Now all of these are kind of part of a forest. So if anything it is everything has become part of a bigger picture. But the reason they're separated is just so it's easier to isolate these staff. So one is here, all the accounting people will fall under one category, one user folder access. Engineering guys are going to be another place, sales and PR, same thing applies. But one is blue, one is red. So why? Because maybe one might be located in one location, or other could be in another location, or they are like two separate organizations within a business. So they could be separated, but they are part of the same forest. So that's why they are like that. Does this kind of help you conceptualize? And yeah, go on. Anyone can reply.
I'll just say yes, that makes sense.
Okay. And Michael, you don't have the server installed yet, right?
I do not. I
Okay,
need
no problem.
to.
I'll send you the YouTube link so you can kind of see what it was. It's not the most difficult task, to be honest. If you're in year 3, then you would probably have done some installations, because until you don't install the server, you won't be able to get to that part. And I'll upload this as well. So Kate, do you have your Windows server up and running? Okay, so you have it running. So let's go ahead and open it up, and first thing we need to do is assign an IP address for it. So go here, see what it is, and then you would assign an IP. Mine got a little messed up, I'll fix it in a bit, but my IP would also need to change. But generally you can do it something like this. So 192.168.10.5, subnet mask 2225 should be .0, and then 192.168.10.1, or depending on your another IP, if you want, you can have that. I don't see your screen, Kate, so you would have to share your screen again with us, please. Okay, now I see it. So let's see what you're doing. I'll just put it here so everyone can see. Okay, so yeah, yeah. So you go down, select your IP at the bottom right. Yeah, so just click on the computer on the just the networking sign on the right. No, not this. So just this icon. Yeah, it says internet access. Is that your sword?
No, I think you're going to my thought.
Okay, so
Couple of nights after you're done.
okay, I'll try to be done soon.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we're going to like.
Okay, so click on the Ethernet 0. Ethernet 0 right underneath the internet sign on the right side of the screen. Yeah, now go to properties, please. And you want to disable unchecked TCP IP6. And then you want to go to TCP version 4. No, don't uncheck TCP version 4. Just click on it.
How are you?
I love you, I love you, I love you. Excuse me, that was my kid. Yeah, now click on properties, please. Now go to use the following IP address. Now create the IP address. You can check what's your IP address on your computer, or you can select the IP address I gave you. It should be fine. Yeah, the default gateway would be 192.168.10.1. I would leave the preferred DNS out for now, and let's see how this goes. Just hit OK. I want to see that. Now close. Thought so. Okay, go back to properties again, please. No, it didn't work. Go to IPv4. Let me check on my end too. Let me just check something on my end. Yeah, it's not letting me connect to any network. Okay. So for now, just for the sake of time, just say obtain IP automatically, and I can fix this on Wednesday because I just have to be going somewhere as well in a little bit. But go okay. But I want you to just install the Active Directory for now. So just go close. Yeah, close this for now as well. That's fine. I'll get this fixed. So go to Manage on top, or Add Roles and Features, because no. So just right here where it says configure this local server. Yeah. So what you see on the server there, Kate and Michael, is that everything which is there, you just kind of have to design it. This is just the base image you have for Windows Server, and afterwards Active Directory, DNS, DHCP, and all those roles and features have to be installed on your own. So yeah, you're going on the right track. So go above, yeah, and you want to select Active Directory, domain and services, set add features, and then we're also going to do DHCP and DNS down the road. So if you want, you can install those as well. So, oh sorry, cancel. I made the mistake before too. Cancel out of this as well, please. Yeah, cancel out of that, because we have to rename the computer first. No, not over here, not over here, not over here. So X out of that, just within the server. Yeah, so go back to, click on local server on your left hand side. Yeah, now you see this is all the information page, which they didn't really have it before. So yes, click on computer name and click on change. So give it a name which you would remember, and then it'll ask you to reboot the computer, which you should. Don't do a domain for now, just leave it a work group. And one more thing you want to do is change the time to the time zone you're on. Yeah, just go OK. And just go close and it'll reboot it for you. What is going on? How many swords does Mazedan have?
Like that.
Okay.
Look.
Yeah, so just log in. Yeah, now go to add roles and features. Ooh, oh, it's still collecting inventory. Okay, no worries. Sedan.
What's that?
Okay, so add features. Then you want to select DHCP and DNS as well. So yeah, go continue. Because right now you don't have a static IP, we'll fix that. So go continue. Just scroll down the screen a little bit. go next. Next. And then it will ask to restart down the road, but that's fine. Yeah, install. Okay. Now,
I have a quick question.
yes.
Because I was away for this part when you did it, when you were setting up the DHCP and DNS
Yeah.
for the features. Were you able to? Did you still receive that error for the static IP address, or you were able to set it up?
No, I received the error, so I'm just gonna troubleshoot it after the class.
Okay.
Because it's something to do with VM, where itself. So the way Zohaib said that might work as well, and other places too. So I'll let you guys know after. And I told Zohaib to drop off. I don't know where if you saw that or not, because I'm just getting Kate catch up to where you guys were.
Yeah, I saw, but I was away for it, so I figured I might as well
No
play
problem.
it.
No worries. So Kate, where you see the exclamation mark on top on the server manager, so click on that, please. Not that, so yeah, over here. So now you see it's complete DHCP. Now what we need to do, Kate, is we need to convert this into a domain controller. So the second exclamation mark you see, click on that. Promote this server to a domain controller. Now this one, because it's a new server, there's no other domain or forest attached to it, so it's going to be add a new forest. So you can name it Kate dot and there has to be a dot. It could be dot local or dot internal, it could be dot org, but I just for this exercise use either dot local or internal. Just use either one of those. Don't go for dot org, because it's for organizations and it just makes a little bit lengthier process. So yeah, now you go next. And over here, okay, before we move forward, click on the forest functional level. And I talked about this briefly. Yeah, so now you see it says Windows 2008 and Windows 2008 R2, 2012, 2012 R2, 2016. The reason for that is, let's say you're joining a forest or a new Active Directory or a domain controller to an existing environment. It has to get connected to the main domain controller, which is giving out those information. Now, that could be a 2008 or a 2012 or 2016. So that's why you have to select which is the forest functional level you're going to select. For this exercise, it just has to be 2016. And then you can move forward with that. But keep that in mind when you're working in an organization, whatever is the oldest server or the primary domain controller, that's what you want to connect to. So for this, just go 2016, and now you select the password. This password is just for Active Directory restore mode. So if anything goes wrong or your server crashes, this password will help you restore Active Directory. But in terms of efficiency, a lot of times people just end up building a new Active Directory server because it's faster sometimes than troubleshooting a domain controller. So now you hit next. The password is too small, so make a bigger password. You can click, no, I wouldn't create the DNS delegation right now, so go next. Now it's gonna verify the BIOS name, then it should tell you, it should show up, I believe, as Kate here, which is fine, because that's the name it's just doing its own search right now internally and is setting things up. Yeah, so Kate 0. Did you put 0 there? I thought it was just Kate, but okay. Okay, then just go next. And if you did domain as Kate, then that's fine. Or was it Kate 0? Okay, because it's saying it's already being used, so okay, that's fine. Which is... Okay, because you named the computer Kate and then the server Kate, that's why. So now one thing I was saying earlier, Kate, before I guess you joined the classes, that's where all your Active Directory information is stored. The database, the logs file, the sysvol folder, and these are also good interview questions. A lot of times an interview for Active Directory or infrastructure, I've gotten asked where is the sysvol folder stored, where's the database, or where's the log file. And sysvol, for deeper context, it's like a repository for all your Active Directory files and everything else. There's file replication services, or FRS. Everything else is stored in sysvol. If your sysvol folder is gone or the files are gone, essentially your Active Directory is kind of kaput. It's done. So click on next, please. Okay, so it's just verifying the information. Go next. And sysvol also, while we're at it, also stores all your security related information on Active Directory as well. So many uses for the sysvol folder, and that's why sometimes it's an interview question or even an exam question, so people understand that you understand the folder and everything else in there. Now click on install. Yeah, that's fine. So go close. Now computer will restart, that is expected. So any questions, Kate or Michael or Sean so far? I know for you, Sean, it's about a do-over, but if you do you have any question or anyone?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Do we have assignments to practice?
There will come some assignments, yes. For next week, just a heads up, the assignment would be you guys probably have to build another 2016 and 2010 server yourself and then get them to connect with these existing servers and get them to start replicating and then troubleshoot through it. So there will be assignments like that.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay. So now let's configure your DHCP. Go back to the exclamation point or the warning sign. Go next. Yeah, commit. That's fine. That's good. Now, were you there for the part, Kate, where we were creating users um, through PowerShell and everything, or you weren't there for that?
There's two ways to create users, right?
Yes. So I've shared those files on the same folders. You can download it Um, and if you want, you can try making them on your own. If not, message me on Telegram. I can guide you. Do you think you're good enough for now? Oh, and also after this, I also have to do it. Run Windows update on it on this. So if it's okay with everyone and you have no questions, I'll disconnect for today, and I'll be on Telegram, and I'll upload this file on YouTube hopefully by tonight.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No
for
problem.
guiding me.
All right, thank you guys. See you Wednesday.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great day.
You too, man. Enjoy. Okay, bye. Bye, Kate. Bye, Michael. Bye, Sean.
Come on.